stuff. So, quick rundown. We're doing a D&D campaign as a channel. We have 4 players who are viewers and friends of the channel who are playing as player characters in the campaign. They've already created their characters. We did all that on stream. If you missed that, it's okay. You'll see it as we go. No worries. Today, I'm giving you guys a quick, think of this as the prologue, the prequel to the campaign. Everything today is the backstory and the information you need to know going into the story. So it's going to feature one main character, and that's the character that we all created together as a channel, named Rabble, who is a tiefling warlock. And there will be a couple of times that come up where I'll ask you guys what you want to happen, and it's going to be like a choose your own adventure, like A or B type of a thing. And I have the story written in such a way that it could go either way, and the fate of the campaign is all dependent on the choices that you all make. So it's going to be pretty exciting. Like a prologue / you guys decide to choose your own adventure, and it will be the backstory of the D&D campaign. Donald, dude, you got here just in time. I'm so excited. Thank you so much for coming by. Good to see you, man. Okay, we're going to get started here. I think I've got everything ready. Let me actually move my window over to the other side here because I want to get it right in front of where my camera's at so I can kind of look at the camera and talk to you guys while I do all this here. So I think we're ready to go. Dude, I'm so glad you got here, Donald. I was really worried that not enough of the players of the D&D campaign were going to be here for the freaking backstory of their own campaign. So if anyone does miss it, please check out the VOD. And here we go. You got the hots for Chad? Yes, Chad's going to be awesome, man. But your character is very cool too. I'm super excited to get into it. Okay, I'm nervous, you guys. I've never DM'd and done any like storytelling on stream before. So all right, welcome everyone to the Elder Council D&D campaign, episode 1, kind of episode 0, the prologue backstory episode. Today our story begins in the place where all modern D&D tales are kind of told at the time, and that's a place called the Forgotten Realms, which is the headquarters, like the main plane of D&D. There's lots of different universes in D&D, but the modern one where most of their current adventures are set is a place called the Forgotten Realms. Think of it as just the normal D&D universe. And we are coming in, think of this as a overhead camera view into the gates of the main hub city of this place, and it's called Waterdeep. Here's a map of Waterdeep. We're coming in to the gate on the right side of your screen there, that road that's leading into town. This town called Waterdeep. It is a hub city. Think of it as the like medieval melting pot. It's a big fancy place with lots of people, hustle and bustle. Thousands of inhabitants for this medieval kind of Middle Ages time. This is like a place where people in those far off villages that are totally unconnected to society, like even those people have heard of this amazing, like gigantic walled, fascinating melting pot of a city. So we're kind of zooming in overhead into the entrance of this town, and we see a figure ragged and cloaked on horseback that's shambling in. The horse looks like it's barely made it into Waterdeep after hundreds of miles of a journey. And this figure is shambling into town, gets into the front gates, and sort of just slumps over onto the horse and sighs in relief. They finally made it here. This seems like this figure has been traveling obviously a long time. Their horse has barely survived. They are just barely hanging on. They jump off the side of the horse and tie it up at the gate at the entrance of town. This is a pretty fancy, very regal area, the entrance, and there's a big castle ward with all the nobility and royals, and the trade district with all the different merchandise and stores and bartering going on constantly. And they don't really want people just bringing their dirty horses and stuff around town, so she leaves it. It's a girl. She leaves it at the gate of the town, like a hitching post area with a man that his job is to take care of all visitors into the town. Flips him a coin and ties up the horse and carries on down the main road. And we see her take off this ragged hood and reveal who the character is. And we see Rabble, the character that we have all created together. Obviously, we're not some omnipotent being in this story, but kind of. We'll see. So Rabble takes off the cloak and just has this warlock hood over her horns and stuff like that, and kind of still slumped and barely shambling into town, not looking nearly as good as this awesome portrait that Tweedler made. And yeah, medieval Las Vegas is a fantastic way of describing it. Just like this big, crazy, bustling city. It's got some bad parts of town and some really beautiful, wonderful, regal parts of town. And Rabble has barely made it here, and she's on a mission. We don't know what's going on, but she's frantic, and like, even though she's shambling in and not doing too good, she's clearly focused, and she knows that she's looking for someone. And for everyone that's new to D&D, let me explain something. Rabble is a warlock, and warlocks were not born with their magical abilities, nor did they train in them. They were given power by a deity, or a patron, as they're called. And Rabble's patron is the elder god Chat. And that's you guys. So Rabble knows that Chat, her patron from the great cosmic beyonds, she doesn't know what Chat is or what form it takes, but she knows she was imbued this power by this magical elder god deity. And she knows she was sent to Waterdeep to recover someone. She was sent to this world, the Forgotten Realms, to recover 5 people. She's already rescued the other 4, and this is the final stage of her mission. She no longer has any need for that horse. She flipped the coin to the man, but little does he know he's going to get to keep that horse forever now. She won't need it anymore. She has one more mission to do, and that is to collect one more bounty in Waterdeep. And she doesn't know what's going on. She's just collecting these people for Chat. And then she'll be done and hopefully not have to do any more evil tasks for her elder patron anymore, and she'll just be able to use her powers freely and go back to her own home world, which is not the Forgotten Realms. So she gets into town, and she knows a little bit about who she's looking for, but not totally. And she thinks she's going to have to get some information to find this guy. He should stick out because she knows the other 4 people that she's had to rescue so far were a little bit of larger than life characters and made themselves known wherever they were in the Forgotten Realms. And she thinks she either needs to go to a tavern or a meeting place where people will be gossiping and talking about things going on in the town, or maybe to the marketplace in the middle of town where all of the merchants are and all of the hustle and bustle of the town and the melting pot is really happening. Jinx, you made it just in time. We're just getting started. Thank you so much for being here. So at this point, I'll leave it up to you guys. You have the choice of going to find a tavern and try to talk to somebody and see what's going on, see if you can get any information about a person that you might be looking for, a mysterious figure that maybe people are talking about around the town, or you can go to the marketplace in the middle of town and see if you run into any interesting people, or also kind of get some gossip and learn a little bit about that. So if you want to go find a tavern and try and find any information there, or if you want to go to the marketplace, let me know. Tavern, just type A in the chat. The marketplace, just type B. That was a great introduction, really pictured everything. That's awesome. Thank you so much. I hope you guys are enjoying this and it's working so far. I put a lot a lot of work into writing this, so I hope it works out. B, one vote for B for the marketplace. All right, everybody vote, please, especially if you're playing in the campaign. Let me know. Another vote for B. You guys want to go to the marketplace, it seems like. Random British dude says B. All right. Alignment, chaotic neutral. We'll get into that more later as well. B as well for Samurai. Also, Jinx, I don't know if you missed it before you got here, I gave a little bit of an introduction. Rabble's patron is the elder god of chat, and it's an elder god that she's constantly hearing this sea of murmuring voices and telling her to go one way or the other. So right now, as she's like sitting here, just got off her horse, and she's going into Waterdeep to find this mark that she's trying to find and collect this bounty. In her head, while she's deciding, should I go to the marketplace or the tavern, they're whispering both at her at the same time, and like constantly bickering and telling her to do multiple things at one time, and she's really has to focus to try to hear individual words. And then all of a sudden, silence and marketplace just enters her mind, and she turns towards what looks like an open area down the main street. And then she realizes, as she's walking through town, there's actually not many people around. And she knows from traveling throughout the little farm villages and fishing ports and stuff throughout the world, everyone knows about Waterdeep and that it's the capital of this world. Everyone is here, thousands and thousands of people, businesses, deals being done. And she's only seen so far the one guy that she flipped the coin to and gave her horse to and set him up at the beginning of the town. And she's seen like one person here, one there. Usually these are like bustling streets with wagons and traders and people trying to sell you like handmade merchandise, and she's not seeing any of that, and she's a little bit thrown off. She's like, well, I've never been here. Maybe it's maybe there's something going on. It's a holiday. Maybe people take special time off or whatever, like a siesta like they do in some countries. Like, I won't get too suspicious yet, but she continues to head towards this open area, the marketplace, and gets to the end of the street and turns the corner into this big sprawling open market, which is right here. Some of these drawings I found that are like free, no copyright images or whatever. I got them on a D&D free image website. Some of them are like kind of cheesy drawings, but they work, and I did my best, so I hope you guys can appreciate it. I'm putting a lot of effort into this. So she turns into this marketplace, and what normally would be like a huge, crazy, active market with hundreds of people running around, kids playing in the street, and vendors set up at every one of these little tent booths here, it's pretty empty. There's a couple of older people kind of bustling around a little bit, more like blundering around, and every single booth that usually has a vendor in it still has the goods, and the fruit is laid out on these shelves, and the weapons of the armorers are still there. There's an anvil that looks like it's still hot and recently used, with a molten piece of sword still laying on top of it, and there's nobody around. There's a couple of kids off in the distance that are just like sitting on a porch and drinking some water and sitting by themselves. So Rabble makes her way into the center of the marketplace, and David, welcome to the stream. Yes, this is an interactive introduction stream. I will explain it once we get to a good break here. Rabble kind of makes her way into the middle of this marketplace and gets a look around and sees that there's nobody there, and sees a big kind of a bulletin job board in the middle of the marketplace where people post their wanted ads, or if they're looking for work or looking for a new item to buy from one of these vendors. And she wanders up to it and sees a huge red poster that says that there's a trial happening, and that everyone on this date is to meet at the city hall for an open town meeting. Hey, dear, welcome to the stream. Good to see you as well. Your birthday's coming up, dude. I hope I get to see you again before that. Happy early birthday. On the poster, it says to meet at the town hall for an open kind of a summit slash trial meeting to decide the fate of the man who was accused, is all it says. And Rabble immediately, as soon as she sees this poster, says, like, even says to herself, that's gotta be him, right? She knows she's looking for one person, and they always stick out. And a poster that says the man who was accused is on trial on this day at the city hall. Jinx Anvilfist is the god of murder hobos, yes. So, do you want to A, head towards City Hall or try to find City Hall, or B, try to go and talk to one of the older people or one of the kids in the marketplace and see if you can get any information on what this trial is or who the man who was accused is? It's up to you. A, to just head towards City Hall and check it out, or B, try to find somebody to talk to and get a little bit more information. And while you guys are deciding, I'll give you all an explanation here for those of you that just joined in. David and Pickle Deer, really good to see you both. This is the beginning intro backstory portion of our D&D campaign that's going to be starting soon. This character is a warlock that we all created together, and the patron of the warlock is you all. You are the elder god. That's the schizophrenic voices in her head telling her what to do. So while she's looking at this billboard and trying to decide what to do, the voices are going frantically crazy and saying, like, this is him, we have to find him, go now, run, go. And she's trying to silence the voices and just hear any good advice to figure out what to do next and not just run straight into danger or trouble. And she hears one voice say, the child, and she turns and sees a little kid kind of walking towards her with what looks to be like a little bit of a leather ball, kicking it on the ground. And she turns towards the kid and kind of walks his way and waves over to him. But the kid sees her from a decent length away and sees that's a tiefling with a robe on, and she looks like she's been in about 1 million fights in her life. And this kid's like, I don't know, 8 or 9 years old, kicking a ball, just a fun-loving kid from the big city, you know, probably never seen any crazy stuff go down. Seen a couple tieflings in his life. There's a good melting pot of, I know I've said that a lot, but a good portion of people of all types in this city, but she looks especially shady, and he's kind of a little taken aback and almost turns to run, but realizes he would have to leave his ball, and he stops, and she just gets up to him and she says, it's okay, I'm not here to hurt you or anything. I'm actually looking for a friend that I'm trying to save. And he says, okay, well, everyone's gone, so he's probably with the rest of the grown-ups. And she says, did they go to the city hall? What's going on? I'm new to town. And he says, well, they're trying to decide what's going to happen to the man that was accused. And she says, what's that all about? I saw the poster and I don't understand what that is. Who is the man? What was he accused of? And the kid says, wow, you really have no idea what's going on. This is all the people in Waterdeep have been able to talk about for the past week. This man with this legion of elite guards came in, and this lumbering, tall, dark-looking man in red robes and a crown came into the middle of Waterdeep and told us that the end times were coming and that they were going to be ushered in by a man currently residing in Waterdeep. And as the crowd gathered around this red-robed, crowned figure, he pointed one skeletal finger at a man in the crowd and said he will be the one to usher in the end of days, the apocalypse, the destruction of Waterdeep and the Forgotten Realms as a whole. And the kid says, so of course the crowd immediately started going after him because the man said the only way to prevent this was to kill the accused. And luckily the guards of the town stepped in and got him away to safety before he was murdered so they could take some time to figure this all out. And that was just a few days ago, and now today is the trial where they're getting the entire town together to really decide the fate of this man. Because some people just want to kill him and do what the man said and kill him so the apocalypse doesn't happen. And other people don't just believe this random guy, and they don't want to just kill an innocent person if they don't have to. So the whole town is just up in arms about this situation, and they're having this big summit to figure it out together. So Rabble thanks this kid and kicks the ball over to him a little bit and kind of playfully smiles at him and flips him a coin as well and says thanks a lot and sorry to scare you, and turns back to him really quick and says, wait, where is the city hall, by the way? And the kid says, oh, it's just up on the hill. And she takes off to go and head towards City Hall. You guys have any questions so far? How's everything going? Sorry if I'm going on very long talking tangents. Hope you're all enjoying this so far. If the patron isn't set in stone, you made a custom Warlock patron called Legion. That is an awesome idea, dear. We'll see how it goes. I think we've got a good thing going so far, so we'll see exactly how it goes. Really captivated. You're doing perfectly. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, guys. Good so far. All right, awesome. So Rabble just continues on the journey, leaves the market, and approaches the city hall building on the hill. It looks like this big old school, almost like a Victorian mansion home that would be in this castle district. Not the biggest and fanciest house in the district. Obviously, that's reserved for the nobles and the royals and the mayor of the town or whatever. But City Hall is a pretty nice building, maybe one of the older buildings. You can tell it's a big brick building that's been built there since the town was just the castle district on the inner walled portion of the town. And the closer Rabble gets to this City Hall building, she notices more and more people are gathered around, and the town is getting a little bit more lively, and they're all headed there. And she gets there with another crowd of people, and the doors are just jam-packed. The whole building is full. Yeah, actually, if you would join the Discord, Pickle, you can. There's a D&D channel in the Discord, and you can post any suggestions or links or anything that you want in there. Jinx, calm down and just get the story, hopefully, here. But so the doors are just jam-packed. People are flowing out of the doors. They can't even fit. They're pushing themselves in. You can see kids that really don't even understand the gravity of this situation, trying to crawl under legs and weasel their way into this room to see what's going on with the trial. And Rabble has a little bit of some help from the elder patron that she has, and she uses a little bit of a mystical influence to kind of part the seas a little bit. People kind of just naturally, without even realizing it, kind of scoot out of the way and back out the door, and then realize, wait, I just gave up my spot in the trial, and she's already walking through the crowd and makes her way quietly into the back of the room and just kind of stands there and waits, and people are still kind of shuffling around, getting to their spots. There's normally rows and rows of public seating, like almost a courtroom, but a little bit more open and casual and nicer than a courtroom. And at the front of the room, the council of the town, like essentially the judge, but there's multiple of them, 4 judges and 1 head judge that looks to be a noble or royal person of the town. Oh, you're good, Jinx. I know you're just having fun with it. It's all good. And oh, you're okay, Pickle. Thanks for joining. So it is all homebrew. Yeah, absolutely. The the benches that normally are reserved for people to sit on and participate in these city hall meetings, they're moved out of the way. There's no room to sit down in this room. There's everyone in town who's anyone who cares about the fate of what they think is the fate of the universe is in this city hall meeting. So, standing at the back of the room, Rabble realizes that the court is about to be in session, and the main judge, who is an older woman in black robes and just a very plain band of a crown, sits up and taps on the desk with a little miniature gavel that seems like not very judge like, but mostly just to politely get the attention of the crowd, and says, all right, let's begin. We all know why we're here. This is very unusual for all of us, so let's just get it over with. Um, we aren't going to bring forward the accused into the room because it's too dangerous. We have him securely locked away, and he's not being imprisoned. He hasn't done anything wrong. He's just being kept safe away from any potential harm. But we are going to decide his fate today, and the judgment will be final. And as we always do here in Waterdeep, we listen to the voice of the people, and what the people want is what goes. And as soon as she says that, before the sentence even gets out of her mouth, a man stands up and says exactly what you said, Jinx. We need to just take this judge by the throat and string her up in the middle of town. And we don't need to do this BS anymore. We have to kill that man, or the end of times is upon us. The apocalypse is happening, and there's no time for democracy or fairness or stupid city hall meetings. This man must be killed. And the judge slams on the gavel a little bit more sternly this time, and another more fair, smaller halfling woman stands up and kind of gets a little bit of a boost from the man standing next to her, you assume is her husband, and says, now, we can all be civil here. This is how we've always handled things. Please just let the judges make their case and listen to what's going on, and we can decide as humans, or as fair people, as we always do, not as humans. But the man says this is absolute nonsense, and one of the bailiff toward type of people from the judge's side of the room starts to give him an eye, and the judge silences him and says, no, it's okay, he can stay. He's just very, very upset, rightfully so. This is a serious situation. And we should say that as soon as that man in the red robes and the crown accused the man in the crowd of being the herald of the apocalypse, he and his entire guard of elite, this posse of guards surrounding him in a circle, they all disappeared in a puff of red smoke, and they have not been back since. And no one has known what to do since then, and these judges are listening to these people in the crowd bicker back and forth. The one man and a couple people that have joined his side are almost at the point of trying to form an angry mob to just overtake the town and find the man in his safekeeping spot and kill him or take care of the problem. And then the halfling woman and the more reasonable side of people are definitely on board with talking things out and trying to see if there's any way they can find the red cloaked man, or any way to solve this situation, or see if there's even any proof that anything bad is going to happen. And the judges are listening intently, and those two, the man who is trying to kill the person and the halfling woman, stand up one last time and are starting to really shout at each other. They aren't getting anywhere. The judges are still just listening and haven't passed any deliberation yet. And the voices in Rabble's head are starting to scream, hey, Jinx, you need to calm down a little bit, buddy. The voices scream that at you. The D&D related, please, Pickle. Yeah, absolutely. Um, so the voices are screaming like, silence him, about the man who is trying to lead this angry mob to kill the person that you're after, the bounty that you're trying to save and bring back to your patron. So you now have the option to let this play out and listen to what's going on, or speak up in favor of the halfling woman and try to talk this angry man out of wanting to kill your target. So A, stay silent and think of another option to try to go find the person that you're looking for to save, or get in on the argument and try to talk this angry man out of forming a lynch mob. A or B? Man, I must have just put all the good choices on B this time, huh? Samurai's a little bit more reasonable. He doesn't want to fight. I like that. I like that at least there's a little bit of difference in the choices too. Just flat out killing sounds better. Believe me, there's a voice telling Rabble, kill him, end him now, stop this nonsense. But after entertaining that voice for about 2 seconds, looking over and realizing there's multiple bailiffs with gigantic warhammers and full plate armor that look like they have probably killed more people than you've ever known in your life. This room full of angry and other people that are not so angry that would also be in the way. And killing someone is probably not a good choice right now, especially at a trial where you could just be imprisoned just as easily or killed. So after taking a second to refocus on the voices, she just can't stop hearing silence him. So after this shouting match just picks up speed, Rabble stands up from the back of the room, from leaning against the back wall, and raises her voice. And it's a very deep and raspy, kind of rugged voice from weeks and weeks of traveling with no good rations and no rest, trying to complete this mission for her patron. And she just sternly raises her voice and speaks to the man and says, things happening here are so much beyond what you could imagine. Resorting to immediately just trying to kill someone is childish nonsense. And the man turns and says, who the hell are you? What do you have to do with this? I've never even seen you. I'm at every single one of these city hall meetings, and this is serious shit to do with Waterdeep and the rest of the world. This man could be the bringer of the apocalypse. And the judge takes interest and sees that Rabble was speaking up from the back of the room, and the judge actually says, can you state your name for the crowd, please? I think everyone here knows who this angry dwarf man and this halfling woman arguing. I think everyone knows them. That is one option we could do, Jinx. But who are you? No one really has ever seen you before. I don't think we know you. Are you from Waterdeep? Or are you just now taking an interest in the city hall happenings because it's the possibly the most important thing we've ever deliberated against? So you can either A, lie and say that you are a resident of Waterdeep and that you are a concerned citizen and just trying to make the most rational choice, or you can say you're not from here and you can tell them what's going on. A or B? I hope you guys are enjoying this. We're almost finished up here. We've probably got another 20 minutes left to go, and then we'll be done. And thank you all for everyone who's been participating. I really appreciate it a lot. You guys are awesome. A, oh my God, you guys want to lie about it. Cool. Hey, Jinx, will you will you just participate and be into the story? Actually, a dwarf that is taller than the other dwarf, and you got bullied because of that. Rabble is very obviously a tiefling with giant horns, so the town is big enough for them not to know everyone. Absolutely. So that is a potential option. We'll see how it goes. So as soon as the judge kind of questions Rabble and says, "Who are you? What's your name? And are you from here? What's going on? We've never seen you here before." Rabble says, "I've I've lived in Waterdeep all my life. I am just a concerned citizen. I don't normally meddle in the affairs of the city council, and I just want the town and the people to be safe, including the man who was accused. I don't think anyone should get murdered for no reason here, and I think this man who's trying to lead an angry mob to murder is going out of his way to be nonsensical, and we just need to have some logic here." And the judge says, "That didn't answer my question. Who are you, and what are you doing here?" And Rabble again says, "I told you I am from here, and I'm just trying to keep everyone safe." And the halfling woman turns and says, "Thank you, dear. I totally agree that we just need to use some logic here, and everyone deserves a right to a fair trial and safety in this town, including the man who was accused. But I don't recognize you either. What part of Waterdeep are you from?" And Rabble kind of freezes. She's only heard of one ward in the town by name, and it's the Castle Ward. So thinking quickly, she just blurts it out. That's the only thing that comes to mind. She doesn't want to act like she's taking too much time to think about stuff, so she just says, "I'm from the Castle Ward. I've lived here all my life." And immediately the judge says, "Now I know that you're lying. What's going on?" And Rabble just stops talking and says, "I don't have anything else to say." The bailiff is already walking towards Rabble, and she starts to slowly back out of the room, but the crowd of people now really interested in what's going on here are kind of pushing in towards her, and the dwarf man is like kind of boosting himself up on the arms of his friends around and yelling like, "Don't let her get out of here. What's going on? She's trying to stop us from killing this man. She must be working with that crowned, red-cloaked man who came in here, or something is going on." And the bailiff grabs Rabble's arm and starts to drag her towards the judges. And she's at the front of the room, and they say, "Tell us what you're actually here for." And Rabble says, "I'm here to help save that man, and that's all I can tell you. That's all I know. And my name is Rabble. I'm not from here. I'm not from the Forgotten Realms at all." And the judge says, "Not from the Forgotten Realms? What nonsense are you talking about? How can you not be from the Forgotten Realms? We don't have time for this nonsense. We're trying to figure out what is going on here. And you won't say anything." And Rabble just is pleading now. The voices are just saying like, "No, you have to find him, and you should have killed that man," or something. And Rabble is just saying like, I'm just here to save that man. He's innocent, and no one needs to be killed for no reason. There is no apocalypse coming. That's nonsense. How would someone know that the apocalypse was going to happen?" And the judge just says, "Well, whether or not we agree with you on that point, you're not helping here at all, and I think you're trying to sabotage this meeting by causing fights between our town members who are here at all these city hall meetings and who know how to run a civil discourse around here, and we're doing just fine without you." And Rabble says, "I think I disagree with that. You were not having a civil discourse." And the judge slams the gavel down, and the bailiff immediately starts dragging Rabble to the back of the room, where there's a big wooden door with iron bands and a big hook on the door. And the bailiff, dragging Rabble by one arm, pulls on the hook and ushers her into the big wooden door and down a dark stairway. How's everyone doing? Take a quick couple-minute break before we get into the final little chapter of the intro story here. Jinx says, "I think lying is a good way to get ourselves killed." You may have been right, but I appreciate you getting into it. Hope you guys are all enjoying it. Time to find another puppet. Rabble's dead. Whoops. No, this is all good. It's a choose your own adventure, so believe me, it was all planned out. No matter what option you guys choose, things are going to happen, and It's all good. So don't feel like there's a wrong or right choice. It's all what the actual patron is telling Rabble to do. So you guys are doing great. I think this is amazing. I'm so glad it's working out. I hope you guys are enjoying it. Let me see here. All right. Let me take a drink and then we'll get into the last little chapter here and then we'll wrap it up. I hope you guys are having fun. Full Metal Jacket. It's neat. All right, awesome. I'm glad you guys think so. So we're out of this. We're still in the city hall building, but we're being led into this dark. Yeah, a little bit of both. I'm kind of improving a little bit of this pickle, but it's mostly pre-written and choose your own adventure path type of a thing. Yeah, absolutely. So we're being led down this dark stairway, as you can see there. That's what a dark stairway looks like, everyone. And Rabble's just being dragged along and kind of still just going with things. The patron chat is still swirling around with voices and saying like you messed up, you screwed it up, you've ruined it all. And then another voice chimes in with just keep going. Don't worry about this. And Rabble is still fine, even though she knows that this bailiff is a very strong, powerful man in Waterdeep, and obviously has some experience, and wouldn't be the first choice of the judges as protection if he wasn't very, very powerful and experienced. So Rebel still is not really making too much of an effort to get away from this man, but she does feel like if she had to, she probably could at least put up a good fight enough to escape, but she's still going with it and doesn't want to just injure herself, even though because she's already so beat up from this like months of traveling. So it's not worth fighting unless she has to. So she's going down this hallway, and the bailiff gets to the bottom of the stairs, and it's lit by torches, and it's just this long protruding, almost like a tunnel lined with cobblestones and a dirt floor. And you have a feeling that most of the town of Waterdeep doesn't know that this is here in this city hall building, this nice fancy Victorian manor that they're all arguing like children in upstairs has this damp, dirt floored, cobblestone lined, dungeonous tunnel in the bottom. And the bailiff says, I don't exactly know what's going on here either, and I understand your point, but we just have to keep you here until we figure things out. And he walks a little bit down the hallway to the only door that you can see for this entire length of the tunnel, and it actually ends in a solid like brick wall, this long like maybe 100-foot tunnel that has just one door on one side of it, a curved door that goes into the side of the recessed kind of tunnel. And he opens up the iron door, he opens up a latch, opens it away from you, and kind of pushes you in and says, hopefully we'll see you soon, and this isn't the end times like they all say. And he kind of slams the door shut, and it's totally dark in there. The torchlight is not quite breaching in, you can't see much, but then you turn around and you see that there is a light inside this room already. It's illuminated by a person sitting there already in this cell that you're in. And she turns and sees the man that she's been looking for all along, and she feels it already. She doesn't know this man, but he's sitting there and he's kind of fashioned this kind of dingy bonfire in this cell. And she looks down and realizes he's blind, but he obviously has noticed her. He's kind of sitting there attentive and looks up and says, what'd they get you for? In kind of a really smart ass sarcastic way. And she says, I take it you're the man who's been accused. And he says, I've been accused of a lot of things, and this is certainly the biggest one. The apocalypse. I don't know anything about that, but I guess they all think that that's what's going on. Luckily, they didn't take any of my things, and they said that this is just for safekeeping until they get it figured out. But it sure feels like a prison to me, being in this locked room. And you can see that he's got all of his kind of adventuring gear, and he looks like he's not really from Waterdeep either. And Rabble says, "Why were you in that crowd that day when you were accused?" And the man says, I can't tell you that." And he looks up, and even though he's got this blindfold on and these rags covering him, and he looks like he's been in here for the past few days with not much for sustenance, and he kind of turns towards Rabble and he says, "What are you here for?" And she says, "I'm here to collect you." And she reaches into her robes and pulls out this stone that puts up a purple bubble around her. She's focusing on this spell, and this purple bubble surrounds the cell from the inside. And as it happens, she's taking a few minutes to try to focus on this spell, and you realize that her patron, this is the item that she's been given to collect these bounties and teleport the people back to the world that they are from, or not that they're from, but that they need to be going to for the patron's wishes. And this purple bubble is glowing and shimmering, and it's starting to like vibrate a little bit. And from the outside of the cell, Rabble turns and sees a child, and she stops and loses focus a little bit, and the bubble kind of fades out a little bit, and it becomes more transparent, and the child is very frightened, and this bubble's illuminating this entire tunnel. And the child says, "Who are you? Where's my dad?" And Rabble says, "Who are you? Who is your dad?" And the kid says, "I bring my dad lunch here every day. He's like the guard of this place." And you realize that the kid must be talking about that bailiff. And Rabble kind of like puts down the stone for a second. She figures, I can wait a minute to get this guy out of here. Let's figure this out with the kid. And she says, how are you even down here?" And the kid says, "Well, I always come down here every day and give my dad lunch and hang out with him while he's on his guard duty. I'm not supposed to come down here, but the head judge lady, she really likes me a lot, and she's friends with my dad, so she lets it happen." And you can see from the walled side of the tunnel, through the cracks in your cell door, the wall is cracking and glowing a little bit, and it's turning red, and the entire world, that from what you can tell, is just enveloped in this giant earthquake. And the kid falls to his knees and is sort of shaking and crying now, and like is already scared of you and what's going on, and doesn't know where his dad is at. And the world is shaking and crumbling, and you don't know what's going on, but you have a choice. You can either try to break out of the cell and help this child, or you can put back up your bubble, teleport, and collect this last bounty and be done with the quest for your patron. So A, help the child. B, teleport away. The final choice is up to you guys. Everybody vote now. A dab and the B. Sorry, kid, we out. Ooh, I like it. Everybody's picking different options. This is awesome. Pickle and David, I'm glad you're both still here. Thank you so much for hanging out. Hope you're enjoying yourselves. We got 2 B's and 3 A's right now. I'll give you guys a couple more minutes to decide. This is a big choice. Sorry, kid, we out. I love it. If anyone else is here and wants to put in a vote really quick, I'll give you the time. Oh, one more for A from Samurai, helping the kid. 30 more seconds, you guys, if anyone wants to get in a vote. What are you guys thinking so far? Are you enjoying it? I'm nervous, and I've never done this like level of storytelling and improv at the same time. Like, most of this is predetermined, but I didn't like write down all of the dialogue, so I'm just making it up as we go. So I hope you guys have been enjoying things, and I've been doing okay, and really excited to do more of it with the actual players in the future. Better than what I imagined for your first time. Thank you so much, Donald, and thanks, Random British Dude. I'm glad you guys have been having fun. All right, that's it. So the voices are screaming right now, like, no, you cannot, you can't do anything to help this child. You have to teleport away. The world is ending. It seems like whoever thought that was right. We have to get this man out of here before it truly happens. There's fire coming down the hallway now. You can see it slowly. It's almost like we're in like bullet time now, as you guys would know it, like Matrix style. The fire is enveloping this tunnel from both sides now, and the floor is crumbling down into this bottomless chasm from each side slowly. The kid is turning both ways, screaming, and the voices are just saying, like, leave now, teleport now. But then Rabble hears one that says, just grab the kid. Just grab the kid. And Rabble summons up, touching this purple orb, and blasts the door perfectly where the lock and latch is on the other side, and it flies open and actually knocks the kid out of the way a little bit. But Rabble reaches out and runs out and grabs the child and jumps back into the room and starts summoning up this purple orb to teleport out of here. And the second that she starts focusing, and the orb is fully solid now, and the spell is working, and the room is vibrating, not just from the earthquake but from the orb teleporting them away. And as soon as it happens, the floor collapses underneath them, and the orb and the gem that was giving Rabble her power stays floating in the air, and the orb is still in its position, but directly underneath Rabble, the floor collapses and she falls out of the bubble, and the bubble blinks out of existence, and she falls, and everything goes black, and there's fire above her, and then everything is gone. And the man has woken up, and he's laying on the ground, and there's this little kid beside him. He doesn't know the kid's name. He hasn't seen any of this happen. He's just heard everything. And he wakes up, and he turns, and next to him, the purple bubble has faded, and he's standing in the middle of this desert area. There's nothing around for miles. All he can see is cracked desert landscape. A lizard scurries past. There's some cactuses and no civilization to be found. And he turns around and sees 4 other purple orbs disappear and reveal these 4 people standing next to him on this desert alongside the child. And then he falls back asleep from exhaustion and passes out, and all 4 of the other people collapse on the ground as well. And that's it. That's where we will leave you off. That's the prologue of the story. I hope you all enjoyed it. And that's it. We'll start episode 1 of the campaign with our players from that point. Thank you guys so much for tuning into it and watching it. I hope you all enjoyed it so much. Death by Button Mash, perfect timing. Thank you so much for coming here. I hope that you got to see all that. If not, please watch